let you know how much money you can get for your accident.
Thanks, Rob. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Go ahead, don't hesitate. Take that first step and call now.
Actors Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are inside a Fairfax County, Virginia courthouse, revealing the most intimate and sometimes embarrassing details of their lives together. It's not a divorce case, but it's playing out like one inside the courtroom. The jury and the world hearing recorded arguments.
After you beat out of me, and then a week later you show up at my doorstep in my room saying you want to say goodbye. Okay, say goodbye.
Oh, I said it?
Yes, you did say it.
And listening to nasty text messages.
We've been perfect. All I had to do was send the monster away and lock him up. We've been happier than ever. All caps. Love you, brother. JD. And in the text that we just saw, when you used the word monster, that Miss Heard wasn't on that text message, was she?
No, that was between Jerry and myself.
Tonight, all the latest from Johnny Depp's testimony, and we'll take a look at the untold evidence being revealed by Johnny and Amber's body language. And we'll ask the question many are asking as this trial plays out. Why did they get married in the first place? I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us. The case continues. Johnny Depp, day 4 on the witness stand, testifying in front of the jury, his ex, the lawyers, the gallery, his fans, the world. And we're going to talk a lot about his testimony tonight. But I wanted to start tonight talking about weddings and marriage vows and the service. When you see a wedding, one of my favorite parts when they're performing the service and whoever's officiating is going through the vows has that moment, right, where they say, is there anyone here who has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony? Speak now or forever hold your peace. And it's at that moment, right, when you're in the church or wherever you are at this wedding where people kind of like look around. And as long as you're not in some comedy or love story that you're filming, nobody ever says anything, right? There's never someone said, oh, no, I'm in the back. It just doesn't happen in real life. When you think about what we've been listening to inside the courtroom in Fairfax, Virginia, and we're talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, maybe somebody should have spoken and said something, because there were plenty of reasons why they shouldn't have gotten married, and we've learned them all during the course of this trial. This relationship was volatile early on, years before they exchanged vows to be husband and wife. And we know what happened with the marriage. The marriage resulted in a divorce, and there was a divorce settlement. And like any other legal settlement, when you have a divorce settlement, you've got two people saying, okay, let's take care of all the business that we have together. Okay, let's wrap it up if we can. And as a lawyer, I know, and you may know too, if you've ever had a claim with an insurance company or maybe have had a separation from your employer, you have these settlement documents that you have to sign. And the purpose of the settlement documents, whether it's an insurance claim, whether it's you separating from work or getting divorced, is to take care of all the outstanding issues that you have between yourselves and put it to rest and never speak about it again. I don't say anything about you, you don't say anything about me. We don't talk about it. We are done. It's much like those that point in the marriage ceremony. Speak now in this settlement or forever just hold your peace, meaning say nothing. Now is the time. And they had their settlement. But then 2 years later, Amber Heard had her op-ed in the Washington Post. And Johnny Depp, from his perspective, felt like, wait a minute, why are we talking about this now? And that became the basis of this lawsuit. So Amber spoke again. Now, if you believe her side, she wasn't talking about Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, she's talking about our relationship again and accusing me of domestic violence again. So Johnny Depp, finally, in this lawsuit, he is not holding his peace. This is it. This is his time to speak once again about all of this. And that's really what he did over the course of 4 days, is tell his side of the story. Because now is the time, okay? Whether it's a marriage ceremony, a settlement, or a trial, right? You know a trial is going to end and there'll be a verdict. So you've got to speak now or forever hold your peace. So he spoke for 4 days. It ended today. Take a look at the big finish for Johnny Depp on the witness stand.
What are you referring to when you said you and Miss Heard will write a letter together?
I was trying to make a peaceful settlement.
And what are you referring to when you say you lost a finger?
A very large bottle of vodka severing my my middle finger in Australia.
And what were you referring to when you said a can of mineral spirits was thrown at your nose?
One of the arguments on the island where Miss Heard had been howling at me with some argument, and she picked up a can of mineral spirits about yay big and just heaved it at me, and it struck me on the bridge of the nose and right there, you know, the forehead.
And what did you say in response when Miss Heard said, tell the world, Johnny, tell them Johnny Depp, I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence?
I said, yes, I am.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Sir, you can have a seat next to your attorney, please.
Thank you.
All right. Your next witness.
Johnny Depp walking off the witness stand. Let's go to Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who is live, as she always is, outside of the Fairfax County Courthouse in Fairfax, Virginia. Inside the courtroom for all of this. A big day today, the big finish for Johnny Depp. There was an audio recording that was played today at the end of his redirect. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you played how his testimony culminated, Vinnie, and there's a reason that they went back to the op-ed and to whether he's a victim of domestic abuse. And one of the final audio recordings that was played was quite powerful, really going to his theories of the case. So I wanted to replay that now. Let's watch.
You have no idea. Every ounce of my credibility has been taken from. I mean, and done so in a dishonest way. You know.
Amber, the abuse thing is we've got to deal with that. Yeah. We've got to deal with that, Amber.
Any way of my credit is my credibility. You know, and I don't.
And why did you put that out there?
I did not. You forced me. Your team forced me to by going on the offense.
I didn't force you to.
From the very beginning, I promise. Look up the timeline to these things. Everything is. Forget it. Forget it. You don't believe what I say. You don't believe what I say. But I did not choose this. You know, every step of the way has been an offense.
I did not put this anywhere. I didn't. Let me talk to the team.
I did not call the cops. I need them no statement.
IO called the cops.
I did not call the cops.
You told IO to call the cops.
I did not call the cops, and I did not give them any statement when they came. I've been trying to protect you.
So again, if Johnny Depp wants to use this audio recording, it really shows an Amber Heard trying to backtrack possibly a little bit. Like she's not the one that called the cops. It was the lawyer's fault all of this was out there. What is she going to do now? She talks about questioning her credibility. She can't take back what she did with that restraining order. And the timing of this recording, Vinny, is a couple of months after this restraining order, before they were formally divorced, of course, before that meeting in July. Johnny couldn't pinpoint an exact time, but it was before their meeting in San Francisco in July where another recording was played. But this was very telling, and a reason why his team decided to culminate his testimony with it.
Absolutely. I mean, there is such strong evidence coming from both sides in this case, and there's a lot of it, and we've been watching it unfold live here. Let's talk about the cross-examination, because great legal teams on both sides, and this cross-examination was pretty fierce at times.
Yeah, both sides have an army of excellent attorneys. And speaking of strong points, the cross today began with a very strong point, again, taking Johnny back to how it began on Thursday morning, which is getting him to agree that abuse comes in many different forms. In the article, the op-ed, Amber Heard claims she's a victim of domestic abuse, and this defense has had him agree that that can not just be physical, but also verbal, mental, psychological. Let's watch.
But you've testified that abuse can come in many forms, correct? Physical being one of them, right?
Yes, indeed.
Emotional?
Indeed.
Verbal?
Indeed.
Psychological abuse?
Indeed.
Go put your cigarettes out on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up, fat ass.
Yeah, you got me there.
I think that was another grossly exaggerated moment of Miss Heard's. I did not put a cigarette out on her or throw a cigarette at her.
I been crying in my bedroom after I had dumped you a week prior. A week prior after you beat out of me, and then a week later you show up at my doorstep in my room saying you want to say goodbye. Okay, say goodbye. You didn't say that to me.
Well, I won't do it again.
What's the mistake then? Did you or did you not say you're coming over to say bye? Well, yes, you do, because you wouldn't have used that as a way to hit me. You listen to me cry, and you're like, now I get her. Is that what you think? Or you just do it without thinking? You do it without thinking, huh? You don't. Stab it when you can. You throw a swing when you can. And what win better than to win on the floor? Because that's when it's really good to hit someone.
You hit me, you throw a swing when you can. The verbal assaults in these audio recordings, and that's how cross-examination unfolded. It was audio recording after audio recording, text message after text message, almost cumulative, Vinny, really trying to back up the fact that abuse can come in so many different forms, and they were giving this jury examples of all of it.
It just seems so painful at times for both of them today. I thought I saw that a little bit more today, and we're going to talk about body language coming up in a little bit later in the program, in our next segment, actually. But powerful stuff, and to hear these recordings and to see their reactions to these recordings, you can see that they're going back in that place. And, you know, they're not alone. There's tons of people, many whom might be watching, that went through painful relationships, but to relive it this way. Okay, so Johnny Depp, we saw him walk off the witness stand. So there was a new witness, the last witness of the day. What can you tell us about him?
Ben King, another character inside this courtroom. He brought a British accent. He had a couple funny moments, and he was key for Depp's case because he was the house manager during their time in the UK and during Australia during that infamous finger incident, Vinny. And he served for that team to hopefully corroborate Depp's story about what happened, especially in that finger incident, the cleanup, the aftermath, the vodka spilled everywhere, glass everywhere, to corroborate that a vodka bottle was thrown, not once but twice, but also he observed the relationship, right? In the UK in 2014, in Australia 2015, it would start great between Depp and Heard, but he would overhear a lot of arguments, and he said his testimony was that Heard was the one provoking, initiating, and aggravating the situation. On cross, some points were scored as far as some photos that may be missing Vinnie, and some injuries were shown of Amber Heard to this jury. So interesting testimony. And inside the courtroom, once Depp left the stand, it seemed like he was a little bit relieved. He went back to sketching on his notepad during Ben King's testimony.
Right.
There he is.
A lot more to go. There he is, back to the sketch pad. You can tell because he's got the glasses on.
He's a portrait sketcher, by the way.
Interesting. So he can, but he's got those glasses on so he can see the pad that he's writing on. Chanley Painter, we'll check back with you in just a little bit. We're going to bring in a special guest joining us tonight in Los Angeles, California. President and founder of Steve Allen Media and a former actor who actually worked with Johnny Depp on 21 Jump Street going back in the day. Steve Politan is with us. Steve, great to see you. I wanted to show a little clip from Jump Street for people who don't remember the show. I remember it very well. Let's take a look.
Were you dealing drugs?
Yes.
He died from those drugs. Douglas, I hear you want to buy a pound.
Yeah. I got 12,000 dead presidents. Troy says you can handle my order.
Pleasure doing business with you.
All right, it's good to see that you got you got out on parole, Steve, after getting caught up there. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's my first question for you tonight. I mean, everyone's watching this trial, and everyone was watching Johnny Depp's testimony. Did you recognize the guy who's been testifying in court, the guy that you worked with on that program years ago?
You know, it's funny. Visually, yes. He's aged beautifully, just like all of us, Vinnie. I've never seen so much hesitation from him, but everything was thought-provoking. He wanted to think it through. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting to watch. And you know, Vinnie, I got to tell you, you should do the opening for the preview of this movie. You're tying it all in together. Yeah, I got theatrics behind me, but you're good. You bring it all together. You're putting the different testimonies together. It's really terrific. High five, pal. High five.
All right, I appreciate that, Steve. Thanks so much. Coming from
no, it's okay.
An LA guy. Tell me about in Los Angeles and Hollywood, you know, the land where Johnny Depp has made his career. I mean, I look at him as someone that's trying to get his name back, that is trying to get taken out of that Me Too pile, you know, where Harvey Weinstein and others are, and say, listen, I'm different than them. Do you think he can do that in the eyes of Hollywood, the executives, the people who are making the decisions about who gets the big role in the big blockbusters?
Well, the more this goes on, the more you're going to want to hire him. He is being so, you know what it comes down to is a Q rating. How much who knows you? What people know you? And the world is getting to know Johnny Depp even more so than all the Caribbean movies put together. But you know, and it's funny. You didn't ask me, but I'm going to tell you, Johnny was a cool guy. On the set, I would have to say, of all the young men on that set, he was probably the nicest guy, and he went out of his way to make everybody happy. And back then, we would talk, and he had visions. He had visions that things were going to happen, and God bless him, he manifested all of them. That's for sure. But Hollywood is a crazy place, and the more exposure he gets, and the more we keep blowing this up. He's gone further than anybody I know. I mean, this is unbelievable. You're right. This is a divorce. This is the preview to the movie. This is all. You almost can't believe this is real dialogue. It's breaking every thought that we ever had about television. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So the further it goes, I think I'm going to want to hire him. You know, he's hot.
Great perspective, Steve Politan. Great to see you tonight, and hopefully we'll speak again. This trial is going to go on for like another 5 weeks or something, so we'll give you a buzz.
Hey, just call me. Just look over your shoulder. I'll be there.
All right, awesome. Steve Fruiting, president founder, Steve Allen Media, also worked with Johnny Depp on Jump Street. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk body language. We've got a body language expert who was inside the courtroom today. You may recognize her. She's been on with us many times in the many years I've been covering trials. Janine Driver will join us when we return.
Cigarettes out on someone else. You consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up,
Yeah, you got me there.
All right, a couple things about that clip. Number one, it's an audio recording being played in court, right? So that's evidence. There was some testimony beforehand, that's evidence. But right now I want to focus on something that they're not going to talk about in court, but we're going to talk about here, which is the body language of Johnny Depp, of Amber Heard, as they're listening to all of this, as they're testifying and reacting to everything that's being aired inside that courtroom. So let's bring in our expert to break it all down. Joining me from outside the courthouse in Fairfax, Virginia, is New York Times bestselling author of the book, You Can't Lie to Me, retired ATF investigator and world-renowned body language expert. Janine Driver is with us. Janine, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Nice to see you, Vinny.
And she was inside that courtroom, of course, all day today. All right, so I think the best way for us to do this is I'm going to show everyone at home something, and we'll listen as well, and then have you tell us what we're also seeing that we may not be able to pick up on, that obviously you are. And let's begin with Amber Heard here as she's listening to a recording of her and Johnny. Let's take a look.
I meant exactly what I said.
What did you say?
At least I'm not doing it behind your back. I'm telling you. You gave me that I was recording, and I said, yeah, I'm recording, but at least I'm telling you.
Okay.
And if you had asked me not to, I wouldn't.
Well, record, huh?
Okay, for someone like me, I didn't see much there, but there was something happening. Tell us what we should be focusing on and what it means.
Vinny, you and your viewers at home can never unsee this moving forward. It's called Contempt. It's on the left side of her face right there. It's moral superiority, and it's out of place, especially for a battered woman. I work with battered women. I myself was dating a hotshot lawyer in my 20s who beat me up, left me for dead in his driveway. And I have to tell you, battered women or women who are domestic violence survivors, they're not leaking contempt. That's moral superiority. They're leaking sadness and fear. These are two emotions we have not seen on Amber Heard's face yet. Sadness and fear have not made an appearance in the courtroom, but contempt is there. Every day the camera shines on her. It's moral superiority. It's almost like saying, I got you. I got you. It is. We see it on Casey Anthony. We saw it on Anthony Weiner with the whole Weiner gate. We saw it on Jodi Arias when she talked about, when she said she went into the garage, Jodi Arias, watched Travis Alexander inside his house for 30 to 45 seconds before she slaughtered him a couple hours later. That's what contempt is. A-Rod did it when lying to Katie Couric about taking steroids. Later came out a year later and said, how could I tell Katie the truth when I was so busy lying to myself? People who think they're superior and better than others will often link contempt when they think they're getting it away with it. And by the way, Vinny, one last point here. The bigger the audience, the more often we'll see contempt, and we're seeing every single day on Amber Heard's face. Never once on Johnny Depp's face.
And you're talking about the left side of her face. That little twitch.
The left side of her face, watch. There it is, right there. That tiny little twitch, it's called contempt. There's 7 universal emotions, Vinny, and it sounds ridiculous. I get it. It looks stupid. You're like, Janine, what are you talking about? Maybe she just had a twitch. Listen, there's 7 emotions. This guy named Dr. Paul Ekman is on the same list as Freud, as 100 psychologists to ever influence the world, the planet. And so the 7 are happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, anger, disgust, and contempt. Moral superiority. By the way, contempt can never be overcome. If you have employees that are contemptuous, if you have a teenager, they're probably contemptuous. Contempt is, I have moral superiority. I think I'm better than you, your ideas, your thoughts. It can you can overcome anger very easily. Anger is an easy emotion to overcome. Contempt, the only way to do it is to ask them their opinion. Johnny Depp was so great on the stand talking about placating her. You want to slap my face? You want to slap my ear like you did before and cup it and make my head ring and like bells? You know what he's doing? He's placating her nonstop contemptuousness. This, I don't even know if contemptuousness is a word, but this contempt that shows up. The only way to deal with it is ask people, what are your opinions? What do you think we should do? Is bow down to them. And I think that's what Johnny did for many, many months, if not years.
Let's listen to Johnny and take a look here. I think he's going to be smiling in this part of his testimony.
It was clear that the more bad press, the more hit pieces that came out on me, the more of these stories of Ms. Heard and her righteous chase against me. It wasn't stopping, and it's difficult to once you've chewed on it for a couple of years. becomes pretty difficult to swallow anymore. As it was completely untrue.
Okay, Janine, I saw some smiles that he was flashing intermittently.
Yes, and you've seen this throughout the trial, Vinnie. You've seen this anytime he's talked about the abuse from his mother as a kid. This right here, this smile, science has shown us it's when people feel weak or vulnerable or emasculated. They'll often smile in those moments. Why? To overcome the pain that they're experiencing. It's almost like a way to not let us see how much suffering they're in. And it becomes a defense mechanism that people will use throughout their life. So I'm sure that Johnny Depp has been doing this for years. As a matter of fact, we've seen this in other interviews where he will do this laugh when he's uncomfortable about something, especially when he's talking about being emasculated by something Amber may have did. So this smile right here is saying, I'm uncomfortable. And here's where he's talking about, 2 years later, now all of a sudden there's something in the Washington Post. It's never ending. And he again laughs in court today when he talked about the abuse of the mother, and he talked about being transported back into this kid-like brain about the pain and trying to avoid it, and we see him laughing.
Let's take another look at Amber Heard here. Again, another audio recording being played in court, and I think she's touching her face in this video.
Oh, yes, you do, because you wouldn't have used that as a way to hit me. I was pouring my heart out to you. What do you do? Let me get it. Let me get it. Stab in here. That's what you saw, huh? You listen to me cry, and you're like, now I can get her. Is that what you think? Or you just do it without thinking? You do it without thinking, huh? You don't. Get him. Stab him when you can. You throw a swing when you can. And what win better than to win on the floor? Because that's when it's really good to hit someone.
Okay, seems like, she's very impacted by it, but what does it all mean?
So anytime we touch our face, we do this as when there's a spike in stress and anxiety. And Johnny Depp has done this for years, and we're seeing Amber Heard do this every now and then in the courtroom. There's that increase in spike in anxiety, stress and anxiety. Let me tell you what happens here. When we touch our face, even you at home, even you, Vinnie, anytime we touch our face, even if there's an itch, what that does to our brain is it does a reset. It's like recharging your cell phone. It does a cognitive reset, and it does an emotional reset. So all these hormones begin to get released in our body. So this is what we see here. Now what Amber Heard does seconds later is she then puts her hand up by her forehead. And when she does this, this is indicative of shame. Again, I'm going to go back to my comment a little earlier, Vinnie, where what's missing here is sadness. I'm not seeing deep swallows. I'm not seeing the corner of her mouth curved down. I'm not seeing her eyebrows pulled together and up, which is all micro expressions of sadness. Now, someone at home might say, well, Janine, maybe she has Botox. Maybe she does. But it's very unlikely that we're not going to see any movement, whether it's in her eyebrows or here on her dimples of her lip, the corners of her lip. So we're missing that sadness, but yet we see shame. This is so interesting. And, I was just saying I just got divorced last year. And I said to my oldest son, he said, hey, I feel like, this Amber Heard is kind of the instigator. I feel like this is backwards. And I said, his name's Angus. I go, Angus, I want you to imagine I'm divorcing your dad. And I only record, everything I record is when your dad is saying and doing bad things. And I'm not on the tape saying anything bad. All of these recordings from me, I might as well for me. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd throw them out of court because, of course, she's going to be whistling Dixie, saying good things in these audio recordings, most of them. And she's recording him. One of these clips, I don't know if you have it, is she's like, you hit me when I'm down. Sure, hit me when I'm down. And he's like, I think he's like out on oxycodone at that point. Who knows? She could be acting. This does not prove that she's a battered woman, that he sexually battered her, like the article said in the Washington Post.
Well, Janine Driver, great to have you on the program. We're going to have you back. We're going to invite you back. It'll be up to you whether or not you come back. But thank you so much.
I would love to come back.
All right. Appreciate your insight. We'll talk again. Thank you.
Thank you.
When we come back, folks, I'm going to try to answer this question. Why did they get married in the first place? All these problems that are playing out, a lot of them took place before they exchanged vows. Dr. Robbie Ludwig and Randy Kessler will try to answer that for us next.
track in everything you buy.
Here's the real deal, mate. Her obsession with herself is far more important. She is so f***ing ambitious. She's so desperate for success and fame. That's probably why I was acquired, mate.
It's a text message Johnny Depp wrote, kind of implicating his, I guess, soon-to-be ex-wife or ex-wife at the time as somewhat of someone who was with him just because he was Johnny Depp. And he was used to raise her profile. Why did they get married? What is their history? Let's take a look at a timeline here, because I think this timeline is really interesting. The Rum Diary, which is where they met, began filming back in 2009. This is a while ago. In 2012, Heard and Depp began dating and then got engaged in 2014. And 2012 was right around the time the movie's coming out. So they get engaged in 2014, and in 2015 the couple gets married. The divorce 15 months later doesn't last. But as we're listening to the testimony and the evidence in this case, the problems preceded that 2015 marriage. For instance, how about May of 2014? That flight from Boston to LA, remember that? Take a listen.
The night before you were due to meet up, did you have a heated discussion on the telephone with Miss Heard about what was happening with James Franco, the scene she was doing with James Franco? Answer, I do not recall, but it is highly likely. Did I read that right?
In fact, I'm not sure where you are.
Okay. Day 2, page 293. It's on page 32 of the document.
Line 22, I think, is the issue.
Page 32, line 22. Thank you, Your Honor.
Line 22.
Line
Okay.
22 on page 32.
Yes.
Too many numbers. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so
that's right. Thank you.
question, the night before you were due to meet up, did you have a heated discussion on the telephone with Miss Heard about what was happening with James Franco, the scene she was doing with James Franco? Answer, I do not recall, but it is highly likely. Did I read that right?
You did.
And you suspected that Amber was having an affair with James Franco, correct? That was the reason for your argument.
Yes.
And when you got on the plane, you considered that she was also being judgmental toward you because she believed that you were inebriated and under the influence of drugs, correct?
That was a constant.
And I'm talking about this particular plane flight.
Well,
you considered that she was being judgmental toward you because she believed you were inebriated and under the influence of drugs when you got on this plane, correct?
So that was a constant. He felt like he was being judged all the time. He was suspicious of her engaging with other men. So why did they get married to begin with? All this is before they get married. Let me bring in our experts joining me in Atlanta, Georgia. Trial attorney, but more importantly, family law attorney and law professor Randy Kessler. He kind of sees these relationships after things have gotten really bad. And joining us in New York City, psychotherapist, host of Talking Live on Facebook Watch and the Bite Side podcast, Dr. Robbie Ludwig is with us. Great to have you both there. Dr. Robbie Ludwig, great to see you again. It's been a while. It's been way too long. Let me begin with you.
Yeah.
Why did they get married?
It's a good question. And very often what we see with certain couples, especially couples who have a traumatic history, they can be drawn to a very unhealthy personality, but it feels very familiar to them. They feel at home, so the attraction is very strong. And we hear Johnny Depp during part of the trial say he thought that he could help Amber. Given the fact that he had a very difficult relationship with his mother, who was abusive to him and abusive to his father, he basically found a relationship where that circumstance gets recreated. And it could be a very toxic dynamic, but where people are very, in this case, Johnny could have been very attracted and drawn in because it gave him psychologically an opportunity to replay a situation but get it right the second time around. often that doesn't happen, and we call those toxic relationships. But I think that's a large part of what happened to Johnny. He found someone like his mother, and it was a toxic situation that he thought he could have a happy ending for, but it just didn't work out that way.
Randy Kessler, as I mentioned, you're there at the end. From all your years of experience and seeing people when things implode and they've got to go their separate ways, how many times when you get into the history of the relationship do you see that, hey, there were problems beforehand, and you're scratching your head? Is this a common thing that happens, that people have problems before they get married and they still get married?
Absolutely. I mean, marriage is not a rational business, right? People get into things for a whole bunch of reasons. There was a judge here that used to have a favorite saying, which is opposites attract, and then they attack. You know, you want somebody who's not like you, that fulfills you, that completes you, to quote a famous movie line, right? You want somebody who has things that you don't have, that maybe can complement you and build. But then you realize that's not like you. You are this way, they are that way, and all of a sudden there's tension. I mean, I've seen it all, and I can't tell you why people marry, and sometimes I can't tell you why they divorce. You know, it's some version of the grass is greener. People want to divorce because they think they'll be happier after they get divorced. And maybe getting married is the same thing. Maybe it's, I'm not happy, I'm not complete. This hopefully will complete me. This hopefully will make me happy. It didn't do it for them, and it doesn't do it for a lot of people. But there are 50% of Americans don't get divorced, so it's working for a lot of people.
It's working for a lot. Unfortunately, we're short on time tonight. So this is like a teaser. We'll have Dr. Robbie Ludwood back. Randy's always coming back. So thank you both so much. Appreciate your insight. Thank you. All right. When we come back, we're going to take it back out to the courthouse. Chanley Painter's going to join us, talk about what the cameras didn't see. And there's an issue that's circulating on social media involving some makeup that came up during opening statements. And we're going to get to the bottom of it when we return.
This is what Amber carried in her purse for the entire relationship with Johnny Depp. She's an actor. Do you honestly think she would have left her apartment ever without makeup? Do you think that she ever would have wanted other people to see her bruises and her cuts? This was what she used. She became very adept at it. You're going to hear the testimony from Amber about how she had to mix the different colors for the different days of the bruises as they developed in the different coloring, and how she would use these to touch those up to be able to cover those. She also used concealer, foundation. You'll hear from her makeup person that Amber didn't even leave her bedroom without having foundation on. And one of the people that was at the building testified. He said she had makeup on and it would have covered that bruise.
Okay, that was Amber Heard's defense attorney, Elaine Breithoff, during opening statements, talking about the makeup kit that Amber allegedly carried with her at all times to make sure her bruises stayed hidden. Now, recently, however, the company that manufactures the makeup kit posted a video on their official TikTok account contradicting the claim, revealing that the makeup kit in question wasn't released until 2017, which is the year after the couple's divorce. Take a look at what they posted.
There's one thing you can expect from me, and that's the unexpected. 'Cause I'm an international super spy. Super spy!
It's blowing up on social media, by the way. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter to help us understand what this all means. What do we know about this? It's Milani, right? Is the company Milani Cosmetics? Get us to the bottom of this controversy tonight.
This has blown up on online social media. It's a cosmetic. You can buy it Walgreens, CVS, Ulta Beauty, Sephora. It's a compact, but again, not made until 2017. Here's what we know. We know that the abuse between Depp and Heard, allegations stemming from 2014, really 2013, all the way to 2016. They got divorced, Vinnie, in 2016. The makeup palette release date, according to that company, December 2017, way after this couple broke up and their divorce was finalized. So her attorney real sure in that opening statement that she had that particular compact with her at all times to help cover up the different phases of bruising and coloring. As a woman, I'm very familiar with the different coloring of concealer and cosmetics, Vinnie, here, but this is huge. I am anxious to see where her case goes and how they follow up on that.
Yeah, well, just so folks know, I've got my own makeup here as well. Each one. So. It's a concealer and a powder all in, it's foundation and a powder all in one. You can go wet, dry, but that's another story for another day. But all right, let's talk about the crowd today outside the courthouse, Fairfax County. What was going on?
Whoa, Vinnie, more people showed up today than ever before at this trial. Early this morning before daylight. 160 or more had wristbands this morning. We have video from our good friend Nick Wallace. We appreciate him for letting us use this video. And they packed that courtroom, and the overflow room, Vinnie, was also packed because so many people wanting to watch Johnny Depp's final day on the stand. Also outside, a lot more activity outside this courthouse, a lot of characters out here, Vinnie. I caught up with a pirate. Let's watch.
You know, they say captain goes down with the ship. If he goes down, we're going with him. I grew up watching his movies. A little bit of a role model for me, at least Jack Sparrow is. You know, and I know Johnny Depp, not on a personal level, but from what I've seen, seems like a wonderful guy. Just want to show our support, but most of all, have a little bit of fun. Nothing too serious.
Nothing too serious. He's going to go down with the ship, with the captain. Nothing too serious there, Vinnie. But also, I ran into some women with signs they traveled over an hour and a half to be here. Pro Johnny, of course. We have pictures of their signs. Justice for Johnny, of course. The alpacas, though. I've been in a lot of courthouses, Vinnie. Never run into alpacas here in support of Johnny Depp. I spoke with their handlers. Teddy, that's Teddy. We also have Truffle was the name of the other one. They were here with a sign with we're here to support you, Johnny. They wanted to bring a smile to his face with all of the vile things coming out inside the courtroom. They hoped that he would see them and smile. Of course, we know Johnny Depp's famous line, Vinny, which is he wouldn't do another Pirates of the Caribbean movie for $300 million or a million alpacas.
Well, there's two of them there. Wow. Wow. Things are evolving at the courthouse since I've been there. How about Johnny Depp? How did he look?
You're missing out.
Yeah, absolutely. How did Johnny Depp look when he walked off of the witness stand today? We have about 20 seconds.
Yeah, he seemed relieved. He resorted back to his chair, like I said earlier, started sketching. Again, his attorneys patted him on the back. And he had a lot more fans when he arrived and departed the courthouse. He would roll down his window and wave at them at the end of the day. Interesting, they were yelling, of course, favorable things to him, but audibly, when Amber Heard left, we could hear boos in our video.
All right, Chanley Painter in the middle of it all, Fairfax County, Virginia. Thank you so much. We'll speak again tomorrow. When we come back, folks, we'll bring in our legal think tank and take a look at some of what went down inside the courtroom today.
744-183.
In Fairfax County, Virginia, day 4 of Johnny Depp on the stand in his defamation case against his ex, Amber Heard. Tonight, we look at the rapid-fire cross-examination of Johnny and Amber's attempt to show the jury his career was a mess before she said anything.
6 months before the op-ed was published, a Rolling Stone article entitled "The Trouble with Johnny Depp," multi-million-dollar lawsuits, a haze of booze and hash, a marriage gone very wrong, and a lifestyle he can't afford inside the trials of Johnny Depp. Did I read that right?
You did. You should read the article.
And the last one.
And we'll take a closer look at Johnny's finger. Why are the attorneys spending so much time on how it got severed if the trial is about whether or not Amber defamed Johnny when she said she was a victim of domestic violence?
I cut the top of my middle finger off. What should I do? Except, of course, go to a hospital. I'm so embarrassed for jumping into anything with her. F the world. Did I read that right?
Yes, Mr. Rottenborn.
Also tonight, investigators release video from the set of the movie where Alec Baldwin shot and killed Helena Hutchins. We take a close look at the evidence to see what it reveals about potential criminal charges against Alec Baldwin. Plus, tonight's 13th juror question, this battle in the courtroom between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard has taken its toll on everyone involved, and it's not even half over. So, who do you think has been damaged more so far, Johnny or Amber? Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. Day 4 for Johnny Depp on the witness stand, facing more cross-examination. Johnny Depp trying his best to tell his story to the jury and to try to convey to the public, to the jury, to everyone that he's not a wife beater. He didn't commit acts of domestic violence. And this is the important part. This is a defamation case. And Amber Heard's words were not only untrue, they also damaged him and damaged his career. Well, today on cross-examination, Johnny Depp facing what I call a real rapid-fire cross-examination, classic cross-examination, where it's not so much about the answer, it's more about the question, right? This is the defense really trying to make their arguments to the jury through the questioning of Johnny Depp. And it was about undermining his career and where his career was before Amber Heard ever wrote that op-ed in the Washington Post. Take a look.
The first one is entitled, is from The Guardian. Do you see that?
Apparently drunk.
Yes, and this is an article from November 15th, 2014, entitled, "Apparently Drunk Johnny Depp Cut Off at Hollywood Film Awards Ceremony," correct?
That's what it says, yes, sir.
And the next article is an article from May 7th, 2016. It's entitled, "Johnny Depp, Friends and Family Seriously Concerned About Him, Here's Why."
Yes, correct? How did they know?
The next article from May 1st, 2017, before Ms. Heard filed for a restraining order, a year and a half before she published, this would be after, May 1st, 2017. The headline is, "Johnny Depp has a clear and epic sense of entitlement, ex-managers say."
Yes.
Published in the Hollywood Reporter, correct?
I was in a lawsuit with him, sir.
The next article from May 10th, 2017 is entitled, "Johnny Depp, a star in crisis and the insane story of his missing millions." Did I read that right?
That's straight from the same lawsuit, sir.
The next article, also from May 10th, 2017, a year and a half before the op-ed was published, says Johnny Depp reportedly drank heavily and was constantly late on the new Pirates movie set. Did I read that right?
You did, reportedly.
The next article, also from May 10th, 2017.
Mr. Depp. This is a pathetic attempt.
Mr. Depp, please just respond to the question that I'm asking you.
What's your question, Mr. Rottenborn?
The next document, an article published in Vanity Fair on May 10th, 2017,
yes,
is entitled "Johnny Depp's Financial Woes Might Sink the Next Pirates of the Caribbean." Did I read that right?
You did. I don't know
the next article,
would do
May
that.
25th, 2017, a year and a half before the op-ed was published, an article entitled "Where Did It All Go Wrong for Johnny Depp? After a string of flops and a ton of bad press, Johnny Depp's star power looks as wobbly as Jack Sparrow on a plank." Did I read that right?
You read that very, very well.
The next one, Hollywood Reporter, May 27th, 2017. Headline, "Pirates of the Caribbean, the diminishing returns of Johnny Depp." Did I read that right?
You certainly did. Hollywood Reporter were very nice to me at the time.
July 12th, 2017. Why are all of Johnny Depp's movies bombing at the box office? Did I read that right?
You certainly did.
November 4th, 2017. A year and a month before Amber published the op-ed. Headline, "Johnny Depp allegedly showed up drunk to movie premiere, reports say." Did I read that correctly?
Reports say. This is hearsay.
June 21st, 2018, 6 months before the op-ed was published. Vanity Fair article, "The Real Reason Johnny Depp Used an Earpiece on a Film Set."
I think that was explained in court
correctly?
the other day. Oh, you did, yeah.
June 21st, 2018, 6 months before the op-ed was published, a Rolling Stone article entitled "The Trouble with Johnny Depp, Multi-million-dollar Lawsuits, a Haze of Booze and Hash, a Marriage Gone Very Wrong, and a Lifestyle He Can't Afford Inside the Trials of Johnny Depp." Did I read that right?
You did. You should read the article.
And the last one, June 22nd, 2018, the Daily Mail, "Vodka for breakfast, 72-hour drug binges, and spending sprees that beggar belief. Alison Boshoff reveals why Hollywood's reeling over what's being called Johnny Depp's career suicide note." Did I read that correctly?
You did. Who's Alison Boshoff and how does she know?
Who won that battle? Who won that battle? This is part of the big finish for the defense on cross-examination. Did they bury Johnny Depp? Did Johnny Depp win that battle? Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III is with us. In Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. It's like the Big East on Monday nights here. All right, Al, I'll start with you. Who's winning that battle?
Well, you know, he came across, I thought, pretty well, Johnny, on that. Except though, I got to tell you, Vin, that like I was having deja vu as I was watching it. And then I remembered what I was thinking about. If you ever watch him inside the actor's studio, he was exactly the same way. His little quips, the way he talks, that low, dropping it, coming back up, getting, you know, like trying to get a smile, trying to get a giggle, trying to get a laugh. It was exactly like inside the actor's studio. It's remarkable. And what's interesting is that, you know, there's like 3 questions that are always asked in that. One is, what is your favorite word? And he said, why? And then they said, well, what is your least favorite word? He said, no. And they said, well, what happens when you come to heaven and you face God and he sees you for the first time? What will God say? And he said, wow. And those 3 words sum up this entire trial. Why is he doing this? No, it's not helping him. And when he dies, God's going to go, wow, you really screwed up your career.
Darnell, who's winning that battle on cross?
Well, I think Johnny clearly won that battle. I've been watching this trial all week, and I thought in the beginning you couldn't pay me $1 million to watch it. Now I'd pay 1 million alpacas to watch it. I think it's become more interesting. It's really a story about human life. Johnny, I'm learning so much about his life and what he went through. And I think when you have this attorney sitting there asking questions such as, did I read that right? And Johnny's like, yeah, you read it right. The attorney never said, is that true? He just kept saying, did I read that right? And if you judge by the laughter I heard in the background, it's clear that Johnny kept his composure and he won that battle hands down. I have to give it to Johnny all the way.
Okay, Jennifer Brent, I want to play for you another part of the big finish of the cross-examination to see if the Amber Heard and her team did a little bit better in this part. Let's watch.
The only thing that this article states, Mr. Depp, is that in 2016, Amber made accusations of domestic abuse. Correct.
It was clear that she'd made allegations in 2016.
And she did that when she
yes.
obtained a restraining order against you in 2016, correct?
Yeah, I suppose, yes. Yeah,
And even if you disagree with the accusations that she made against you in May 2016, it is a true fact that she did make those accusations in 2016 and got a restraining order against you, correct?
Objection compound asked and answered.
Sustain objections. Next question.
To your knowledge, the words that Ms. Heard used in this article about getting a restraining order against you in 2016, those are true, correct?
I'm sorry?
The words that Ms. Heard
the
used.
document.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. You want-
Can you go to the third paragraph? Blow up the third paragraph, please. The statement that then 2 years ago, Ms. Heard became a public figure representing domestic abuse, that is true, isn't it?
I'm not sure what we're looking at.
Objection.
Oh, I see it.
Calls for a legal conclusion.
So I'll sustain the objection. I'll
his no.
sustain the objection.
And in 2016, for the first time publicly, Ms. Heard accused you of domestic abuse, correct?
In 2016?
Yes.
That's correct.
No further questions.
That was the big finish. But Jennifer, before you chime in here, I just want to point out, and this happened throughout the cross today, and it's been happening throughout the whole trial, but what a great job by the judge in making all these calls on hearsay and making the rulings fast and keeping everything moving, because there were a lot of bumps in the road today as the lawyers are battling, but the judge kept complete control and kept everything going very well for the jury, which is the most important part of this. Okay, Jennifer Brandt, the big finish here by the defense, by Amber Heard's defense on cross-examination. Your thoughts?
I don't think the finish was so good, Johnny. I thought the defense did a much better job. I disagree with Al and Darnell. I think the defense did a much better job with the earlier questioning when they were asking, when they were reading those articles over and over again. I thought that was so effective because that showed how the press was really trashing him even before Amber made these statements and in the op-ed. So, I mean, he was having, I think that showed he was having problems with his career even before that. He's saying it's all because of her, but clearly based on those titles of the article, and he didn't have to say they were true, just to hear them over and over and over again sounded pretty convincing to me. On the finish, Vinny, I don't think it was so good because what happened was, I mean, the defense lawyer was doing a pretty poor job of questioning with, the Johnny's lawyer jumping in, objecting time and time again, that it got very confusing. And I think if it's confusing for us as lawyers, it's even more confusing for a jury because they're paying more attention to the objections and the judge sustaining them than really what the questions were. And then Johnny's sitting there looking confused, like he really didn't understand the question. I think he understood the question. I think it was his acting ability showing there. And I don't think it was so effective in terms of, wrapping things up. I just think it was just a mess sort of at the end.
Al, do you think these 4 days is really what it was all about? for Johnny Depp? You know, 4 days to take the stand and get the attention of everyone? Because let's be honest, from the moment he took the stand till when he finished, the number of people around the nation, around the world that are watching has just literally exploded around the world with the numbers of people who are talking about this and talking about Johnny Depp.
This was the peak, and it's only going to be downhill from there. I think Amber Heard, when she gets on the stand, is going to be a big draw. But this was the chance for him to shine. This was the chance for him to take the lead. It was his chance for him to demonstrate that, you know, he was the victim in all of this. And quite frankly, he didn't do it. It didn't come across that way. As I said before.
Does he come across, let me ask you this, and we'll go around the horn. Everyone give me your perspective. After he testified now, does he come across as someone who is, and let's do the UK case right now. Did he come across to you as a wife beater? Would you call him a wife beater? Al, once, yes or no, why?
I would say.
Sounds like a no if you're not saying yes.
Well, I have to say that he is definitely a person who has inflicted domestic violence. That doesn't necessarily have to be beating someone. That can be other things, throwing things at people, doing things like that, the head games that he was playing, writing in his own blood, and making the comments that he made. That's domestic violence.
And that's where I see the difference here. It seems that Amber Heard and her team focusing on other types of abuse, not focusing so much on physical abuses, which is what a wife beater does. Darnell Crosland, it's not this case, but it was the UK case that he lost. The judge over there believes he's a wife beater. What do you think?
I think he did a great job. I think starting to humanize himself from start to finish, how he grew up. His father was a sweetheart. His father wouldn't hurt a fly. He explained that his mother had mental abuse that was worse than the physical abuse. And because of that, he said to himself, I'm never going to hurt anyone. And so he might have yelled and screamed. And as a judge in the UK said, there have been some incidents of harassment, but no one said that he's put his hand on anybody. He's acted out at times, but he clearly said that because of the way his mother treated him when he grew up, he would never hurt anyone. And I think he's won this trial by making the world see that Amber is the one that's the crazy one and trying to blame him. That's all he wanted. He doesn't need $50 million.
All right, Jennifer Brandt, we only have like 10 seconds because Al took all your time as usual.
As always. No,
right?
He's not a wife beater, Vinny. He's not a wife beater. Messy divorce, messy marriage. Should have never married her. They were not right for each other, and I think that's what we're seeing here.
Okay, when we come back, there's been a lot of talk about Johnny Depp's severed finger. But why are we talking so much about Johnny Depp's severed finger if it's a defamation case where he's alleging that she lied when she called him a domestic abuser? Why is his finger so important, or is it? That's next.
your deal at drivetime.com.
So I had lost the tip of my right finger, and so I'm saying to him, I've now cut off my left finger to remind me never to cut my right finger off again. That's not, I mean, when you say I got my finger cut off, or I cut my finger off, or this or that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you did it yourself. And again, I'm a guitarist and have been since I was 12, and that was the only piece that I found in my life at the age of 12 where I knew what I knew who I could escape into music and learn music. And the last thing, I'm a guitar, I mean, I still play the guitar with, it's still my first love, aside from my children. There's no reason in the world why I literally would cut my own finger off to ruin this beautiful opportunity that I was given at 12 to learn how to play the guitar.
That was Johnny Depp on the stand today describing how playing the guitar was his first love, of course, aside from his children, right? Clearly painting a picture for this jury of the importance that it has in his life. Well, we took a look at Depp's official Instagram page and we found videos of Depp playing the guitar. Take a look. Now, Depp used his love of the guitar as a reason as to why he couldn't have possibly have severed his own finger. And this issue of how Depp's finger got severed has become a big point of contention throughout this trial. On direct, he described his version of events, saying a vodka bottle thrown by Amber Heard shattered his hand, and took off the tip of his finger.
I opened the bottle and I poured myself a shot. Drank it. Ms. Heard was flinging insults left, right, and center, and she then grabbed that bottle and threw that at me. She threw the large bottle, and it made contact and shattered everywhere. And I honestly didn't feel the pain at first at all. I felt no pain whatsoever. What I felt was, I felt heat. I felt heat, and I felt as if something were dripping down my hand, you know. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
Well, then on cross, the defense brought up text messages where Depp told his own doctor that he was the one who cut off the tip of his finger, or did he? Take a listen.
This is a text from you to Dr. Kipper on, it's in the timestamp issue. I believe it was sent on March 8th, 2015 in Australia, timestamped March 7th, 2015. Do you see that?
I do, sir.
Okay. I'm so very sad. I cut the top of my middle finger off. What should I do? Except, of course, go to a hospital. I'm so embarrassed for jumping into anything with her. F the world. Did I read that right?
Yes, Mr. Rottenborn.
So even as you are ranting about Ms. Heard to Dr. Kipper, even as you were talking about her ambition and expressing your objections to that, you still admit to him that you cut the top of your middle finger off, correct?
Objection, compound. Sustained as compound.
You're complaining about her ambition in this text to her, to Dr. Kipper, correct?
I'm realizing that her ambition is far stronger than her supposed feelings for me, yes.
And there's nothing about this text that's trying to protect her.
Protect her? From what?
And you tell Dr. Kipper, I cut the top of my middle finger off in this text, correct?
It's just the way it was worded. It doesn't mean that I actually literally cut my finger off.
All right, so why are we spending so much time on his finger, number one? And number two, what does that actually mean when he says that? Let's bring back in our think tank. Darnell Crossan, let me ask you, is him saying I cut off my finger kind of like after that football game that I played in 7th grade where I broke my leg, where I really didn't break it? It was the kids from Hazel Grammar School who piled on top of me and purposely did that. Well, I digress. But I didn't break my leg, right? It was the kids from Hazel that broke my leg, but I say I broke my leg. Is that the way Johnny Depp is explaining all this?
Yeah, I think that's what he wants us to believe. And, you typically don't just call your doctor and start complaining about your wife cutting off your finger. You try to keep that stuff kind of private because it's still your marriage. So you would say, I cut off my finger or my finger got cut off. And you say it in this ambiguous way not to go into this detail because the question is going to open up to what problems are you having with your wife. And so I think it's fair. I don't think I'm going to agree with Al on this one. I see him shaking his head. It's not credible, but I think that's what he was heading to. But the delivery wasn't great. But I think it's fair to not go into details about your marriage with your doctor.
Jennifer Brand, let me ask you, we're spending a lot of time on his finger. Does it, at the end of the day, does it really matter? How much does it matter in this case? Because the case is not about that. The case is the allegation against him that he was abusing her.
Yeah, but I think it's important, Vinny, because and it goes to, were they just battling each other? Because I think part of this is that they were in Australia and she said he locked her up for like 3 days and was beating her up. And it was just a messy scene during that whole time. So if it turns out that she cut his finger and he didn't cut his own finger off, I think that does make a difference because it shows that there was abuse coming from her side as well, that she's not so innocent as she seems. She's not a battered woman. She's tough and she's fighting back. And I have to say that despite what Al and Darnell said about the finger, and I do have a little problem with the vodka bottle cutting the finger, I think the guitar part was really good, was really smart. And I believe that he wouldn't want to cut his own finger off because he enjoys playing the guitar so much. So why would he do that? Why wouldn't he cut off another body part if he was going to cut something off and not his finger? But so I kind of believe him on that. And I think it gives some background and explanation as to why he wouldn't do this. I don't know why he went around painting the room with his bloody finger. That's another problem, but we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah,
so.
I'm very tempted right now to end the segment right now and bring in a body language expert next segment just to read Al's body language while everyone else is talking.
I don't think you need an expert for that, Vinny.
Right.
I don't think you need an expert.
Al, you're the only one of us I think was in a rock band. So
yes.
would you really cut your own finger if you love playing the guitar?
Well, no, I would not. My middle finger would not be so important. I'm a lefty, so it's a little bit different for fretting and playing. With regards to chords, I would need my hand, my right hand. He's not. He's a righty, so he could be playing with a pick, so it's not going to be so terrible. And like I said, he didn't do it to himself. He did it by accident. He slammed the phone down and he cut himself. And then what did he do to try to make the situation worse? He starts like the Manson family, writing in blood on the wall, okay, talking about it like it's a nonchalant thing that happens. Everyone down the block does this. every once in a while. You get a cut finger. You start writing in blood on the wall. It's a smart move.
But Al, how can you cut your finger with the phone? That makes as much sense as a vodka bottle. Like how could you really cut your finger off with a phone? I don't think that would work either.
Is there a glass screen on a phone? Is there a glass screen on a phone?
Then why isn't the vodka bottle?
Because if there's a glass screen on a phone and I slam it down and I have it in front and the glass breaks.
That's just as likely as a vodka bottle.
Right off.
No,
That makes more sense.
I don't buy it.
That makes the shard of glass with regards to the glass screen makes more sense, okay, than a vodka bottle being flung and only breaking the skin of the middle finger. If his entire hand was cut, I might say that might be something that's
all right.
But if I take my phone,
we got to leave it there. We're out of time for this segment. Well done. When we come back, though, we're going to switch gears just a little bit because we have big news tonight. Alec Baldwin shot and killed Helena Hutchins, right? We know that. Tonight, newly released evidence from the investigators. We've got our hands on it, and I've got video of Alec Baldwin drawing his weapon. It's a cross draw. We'll show you where his finger was next.
Everybody was prepped. Yeah. Earplugs, everything.
All right,
Where should I go?
Mr. Baldwin, who's the director on scene?
The guy that was shot.
The guy that was shot?
He's in the,
okay.
Where is he now? I think he's in the ambulance.
Do you guys have a production car? Or?
There's an AD. His name is Dave. I'm waiting for you right now. Okay. I'm happy to stay right here and do everything that he's doing.
Well, my lieutenant just wants you to stay away from everybody and not to talk to nobody. So I was.
Wait right here.
We can wait right here and have everybody step back, or we can wait in the back of a patrol unit, but I prefer to not put you there, okay?
Yeah.
That is just moments after Alec Baldwin shot and killed Helena Hutchins and also shot the director who survived. That's body cam footage from one of the responding officers. The investigation is continuing, but investigators have released a lot of what they have uncovered here. What I want to show you next is Alec Baldwin inside the church where they're shooting this scene, in the spot where he was when he shot and killed Helena Hutchins. Now, what you're going to see, there's no audio to it. It's just video, but this took place just prior to the shooting, okay? There is no video of the actual shooting of Helena Hutchins, but what I'm showing you now is what they were doing just prior to that. Part of the investigatory materials that have been released that we're showing you tonight. So here it is. Let's watch it again, slow motion. And there's a couple things that pay attention to here. His finger, his forefinger, and his thumb, which seems to flick back the hammer as well. But it looks like his finger is like on that trigger in whatever they were doing in this rehearsal that they were shooting. And as you watch the entire video, you can see that he's talking back and forth with folks there. But again, there's no audio of it. We just have this video. Now let me show you Alec Baldwin, his statement related to the civil case here. Baldwin asked Hutchins what she would like to see to prepare her camera angle for the scene. Baldwin did not perform a cross draw of the gun. He pulled the gun out slowly without issue and held it still before Hutchins began giving any directions to him. So what's described there by Baldwin in the filing, much different than what we're seeing taking place just prior to the shooting. So I want to talk about this evidence tonight with our think tank. Let's bring him back in. Al Wunsch, Darnell Cross, and Jennifer Brandt with us. We're going to have a lot more on this tomorrow night on the show, by the way, because there's a lot more information, but we got it late in the day. There were some computer problems, et cetera, with the distribution of all this, but we've got that. Jennifer Brandt, as you see, what's happening there is much different than what was described by Alec Baldwin of the moment when he actually shot and killed her. Now, that's not on video, so this is the only video that they have. So how important do you think it is for Alec Baldwin's version to be what investigators believe in this case versus what we're seeing taking place just prior to the shooting?
Well, I think it's very important for Alec Baldwin because I think what we're seeing now is not the same. It does, I mean, I don't know anything about guns, but it does look like he's pulling it out. And as you said, his thumb moves back, his finger is on the trigger. And so when did this take place? How close in time to the actual shooting? And did something happen unintended, when he was doing that? And, as you said, it's not exactly the same time that she was shot. So then was he doing something different? I guess that's what we want to know. Was he doing more of the action that he described in the lawsuit as opposed to what we're seeing here, which is not that. It appears that he is pulling it out and looks like he's ready to shoot it as opposed to just holding it, which is what he said.
Right. And Al, number one, he says there was no cross draw. That's important because allegedly he did not take the cross draw training that was offered to him, number one. Number two, it also said his finger wasn't on the trigger. And in this video, it is. So your thoughts about this newly uncovered evidence and how it relates to potential criminal charges against Alec Baldwin, which may be involuntary manslaughter.
the interesting thing is that you can see it's a little jerky with regards to how he cocks the pistol, pulling the hammer back with his thumb. It looks awkward, and I'm sure that he wasn't happy with the way that was being done, because a guy like this who's supposed to be a quick draw would want it to be a much smoother process, and it's not the way he's showing it there. But he is quoted as saying that the gun must have misfired because he didn't pull the trigger and he didn't cock it back. So he's got a little splaining to do, as we say in the I Love Lucy show, with regards to why this situation is the gun is cocked back and he's got his finger on the trigger. If he was doing this just to demonstrate, the finger should not be on the trigger. It should be next to the trigger, which is the safe way of handling a handgun with regards to something along those lines. But you can see he's jerking his thumb to make it look smooth that he's trying to cock it back. And it's not, I'm sure if I was the director, I would not be happy with that. And I'm sure if he's a perfectionist, which I believe he is, that he wouldn't be happy with that being done. So that's why I think he definitely was playing with that weapon and he wanted to get it done right. And I think that he's going to be proven wrong with regards to how the gun was cocked and that he fired.
Darnell Crosland, once again, only about 15 seconds. You know why. But go ahead.
Well, there's only intentional killing, which is murder, and unintentional, which is manslaughter. And if it's going to be unintentional, they have to show reckless disregard for human life. So that's not going to be present here at all. And when you pull a gun out, you're supposed to pull that gun out with the intent to kill. And so if a movie is supposed to replicate life, his finger's supposed to be on the trigger. You don't pull a gun out and have your finger next to the trigger. So he did everything right, but like Al said, he wasn't smooth. So Al can't have it both ways. He can't pull it out smooth and do it right, but not have his hand on this trigger, because no one in the movie world is going to believe it. So he did it right. He wasn't smooth, and there's no liability based on what we see so far. Ms. Hutchinson was directing him how to hold it higher and what to do with it. So this is not going to hurt him.
We shall see, and I just want to make clear, Al Wunsch, appreciate all of your insight. I never want to cut you off. I just want the record to clearly establish that. Okay,
Vinny, I'm not 17-0 like Darnell, so
right.
I just appreciate the opportunity.
When we come back, we're going to hear from you, the 13th juror, and there's been a lot of stuff thrown around inside the courtroom in Fairfax County, Virginia, between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. But based upon where we are now, which isn't even halfway through the trial, who's been damaged more so far? Johnny Depp or Amber Heard? Your verdict when we return.
was sitting on the floor, crying. I mean, tears streaming down my face, begging another human being to please give me the meds that will take this away. And she would not. She was adamant that, nope, it's not time, 4 o'clock.
Mr. Depp, these are 2 texts that you sent to Isaac Baruch, who the jury's heard from on October 17th, 2016 and October 18th, 2016. Can you just read for the jury that first text?
You'd like me to read that?
Yes, please.
Sure, Mr. Rottenborn. Is the slippery whore that I donated my to for a while staying there?
And can you please read the text under that, please?
Certainly. I'm not sure I sent that text, but...
Well, I'll read it. You say...
No, I'll read it. It's fine if you'd like to hear that.
I'll go ahead and read it, sir.
Go ahead.
You tell Mr. Baruch on October 18th, 2016, hopefully that rotting corpse is decomposing in the trunk of a Honda Civic, 2 exclamation points. Did I read that right?
You did.
A lot of intimate details, text messages, audio recordings, testimony revealed inside of this courtroom. But where we are right now in this trial, who's been damaged more, Johnny Depp or Amber Heard? We begin with our 13th juror comment of the day, coming from Colleen, who says, I think Amber has been damaged. She's very antagonistic, won't let Johnny leave in order to avoid physical confrontation. If I'm on the jury, I would have to wonder why she taped so many conversations. She did this for years. She knew she would end up in a courtroom one day. Let's bring back in our think tank. All right, to Darnell Crossland, your thoughts. Who's been damaged more here, Johnny Depp or Amber Heard?
I agree with the 13th juror, Colleen. Colleen said it best. I mean, why are you taping something that should be not done in a natural relationship? Well, here we are, just me and Jen and Al, and we're just getting along great. And if we go out next week, I'm not taping anything. You know, I'm just with pals from Court TV. But Colleen said it best. Why are you taping things? She knew she's going to end up in court. And the truth is coming out now that she's sort of made this stuff fit her narrative.
Millie tonight, he is getting crucified with his own words. I always watch what you put in print. It will always come back to haunt you. Jennifer Brandt, have Johnny Depp's own words done more damage than has been done to Amber Heard?
Well, I'll agree that his words are unpleasant, and it's a little, you cringe when you hear someone, you read some of those text messages, even me as a family law attorney who sees things like that all the time. But I agree with Darnell. Amber is the one that's being hurt more in this case because she's not coming across as a battered woman, as someone who's been beaten up by Johnny. She's taping conversations. She's antagonizing him at every turn. Unless she comes across with something really amazing during her examination, I don't know. I think it's going downhill for her in the court of public opinion, at least.
Here's Marcy. We've already heard the worst about Johnny since her accusations. She has definitely been damaged more so far with all the things about her we are just learning. I don't know if it's possible for her to reclaim the image of being a victim. At the very least, people will see her as a co-abuser. Al, you know, we've been talking about the why of this lawsuit. Is it possible that it's a spite suit, that Johnny Depp just wanted to make Amber Heard look bad regardless of anything else?
It's a good possibility of that. I mean, why would you subject yourself to this, though? It really makes no sense to me. And the fact that she's tape recording stuff, I'm not as surprised about that because let's face it, okay, this is Jack Sparrow you're up against. You saw the people that were outside in front of the court talking about how wonderful he is, how great he is, and everything else. And anything I say, you're not going to believe me because he's Johnny Depp. So I need to make those tapes to protect myself. I don't see that as being something to be upset about. I think that's protection. And I think she was smart. And I think she did a brilliant move in keeping this testimony and keeping these statements and these text messages to show that this is not the character that you see saying yo ho ho in a bottle of rum. Okay?
Gotcha.
Jack Sparrow.
Al, the clock has run out on Al Wunsch tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt, thank you all so much. We'll see you again real soon. When we come back, folks, I have some work for you. I need your help when we come back.